Welcome to our Rate Your Arsenal episode number 12. You're going to notice this is a long episode. We are very behind on arsenals. Apologies for everybody who sent them. I'm trying to catch up as best I can. There are a lot of arsenals though. We were at over 600 arsenals that we need to rate before I recorded this episode. So we have an hour-long video for you. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you do, make sure to drop a like, make sure to drop a subscription. If you want to jump into line, there is a link to a Google Doc down below that you can jump into to have me rate your arsenal sometime in the near future. I'm going to try to be pumping these out once every 1 to 2 weeks. There's just a lot there, so stay patient. Apologies, but let's get right into part 1. Next, we're moving on to Aaron. Aaron is a two-handed righty and has a good amount of bowling balls, so let's start putting things into categories. Starting with the Ion Max, that fits in strong smooth. We have the Origin, which we know is strong sharp from past videos. Ion Pro, weak smooth. I see the Goat Ball in the medium smooth category. I see a Road Warrior. We always put that in medium sharp now. Purple Hammer is going to be a urethane category. The rest, I don't think we really have a slot for, so let's start it off. Starting with the Journey. The Journey we've already talked about a little bit. That goes in front of the Road Warrior, kind of square in the middle of the medium sharp category. Stealth Hybrid. Stealth Hybrid kind of jumps between categories, in my opinion. It is shiny out of box, but it's so strong and smooth that it doesn't really fit in the medium sharp slot. So we're going to put it at the end of the medium smooth. Ooh, Fever Pitch. That's a bowling ball that existed. This was Storm's attempt at trying to beat the Purple Hammer. They did not succeed on that front, unfortunately. So that is going to go after the Purple Hammer. It is a little later, and it is a heck of a lot smoother. Coming in, Hammer Effect, the OG Effect. That hooks a little later than the Origin. And then the V-Bow falls right after. So you kind of have a good 1, 2, 3 of Origin Effect into the V-Bow. Then Black Widow 2.0 Hybrid. Ooh. Oh man, that's hard. I think the Black Widow goes in front of the V-Bow. Their ball reaction is radically different, but I think that's the order it would go. Rubicon UC3, we're going to fit in the strong smooth camp, but it's going to go after the physics blackout. I think we're going to physics blackout into the Rubicon. The Rubicon wants to hook super early, but I think that physics wants to kick up a little bit more because of that AI tech in it. Then finally, Harsh Reality Solid. I have the Harsh Reality as one of the earliest hooking bowling balls to date of the last few years, so I think that's where that one's going to go. But Aaron, two-handed righty, looking at it, assuming you're two-handed, that you're going to be a little bit rev dominant, you might want to beef up the bottom half of your lineup. You have a lot of asymmetrical bowling balls. 8 of your, 10, 12, 13, 8 of your 15 are asymmetrical. You probably want to make it more like 33% of your bowling balls are asymmetrical compared to over 50%. Just based on you being two-handed, assuming you're a little more rev dominant, but that might not be the case. This is really good if you're speed dominant because then you have a lot of balls that are going to want to hook. But I'm guessing you don't have a problem getting a ball to hook. So I would recommend stuff on the bottom half of this list, something to pair with that Ion Pro, something to fit below that Road Warrior, like the Hustle Lines or a Typhoon or an Ivory Rhino. You might want like another medium smooth ball that's a little bit below that. Well, you have the Ion Pro, so maybe nothing between the Stealth and the Ion, but something below the Ion might be good. Turbo X, Max Thrill Solid. You have the IQ Tour, Hustle Earth, a lot of bowling balls there. I just feel like you need to fill this side a little bit more, and then you're going to be good to go. We're moving on to Andrew. Andrew is a speed dominant two-hander. So let's kick things off, put some things into categories that we've already talked about in the past. We know GB5, medium smooth, Scorpion low flare, weak smooth. We'll put the purple in the urethane slot. I see an Outer Limits solid. That's a rare one in the strong and smooth slot. We haven't seen many of those in this series so far. We see a Theorem for the strong sharp. Do we have a medium sharp ball? We do with the Real Time. Real Time that just made its way onto a league top 5 list in the medium and sharp. And I think we'll be ending there. So let's check it out. First of all, Stealth Hybrid. We're going to put that in the smooth category, medium and smooth, below the GB5. But then we have a Stealth Mode, which I think fits above both of these balls. I really see the Stealth Mode as an earlier and smoother Game Breaker 5, just a stronger core and cover in general. So that's a really good 1, 2, 3. 3 of the better balls that Brunswick has made in the last couple of years. Ooh, but we have the Effect Tour, man. Where does that go? I'm going to, yeah. I'm going to put the effect tour in between the stealth mode and the Game Breaker 5. A lot of dark blue bowling balls is what I'm really noticing here. Very interesting. A lot of blue in general. Wow. All right. Sensor Solid coming in next. That goes after the Scorpion Low Flare. Definitely a little bit afterwards. Ethos. Original Ethos. I'm going to put that after the real. Yeah, after the real time. The real time is a shiny solid, so it wants to hook a little earlier and be smoother because of that. But I think real time into Ethos is a good combo. Ooh, we see the Max Bias. Max Bias is just going to fit on the very, very top of the list all of the time. That is the biggest core we've seen in bowling in a couple of years. Black Hammer always goes after the Purple Hammer. It's weaker and it's smoother down lane. Mesmerize. Mesmerize is going to go after the Max Bias, but before that Outer Limits Solid. Extreme Envy, another really strong ball. Oh man, that one's going to be tough. I think I'm going to put the Extreme Envy in between the Bias and the Mesmerize. You might be able to switch these two around. The Envy and the Max Bias might be able to flip around a little bit, but otherwise I think that's pretty good. I see a Vaporize coming in next. We're going to put that in front of the Theorem is where that thing fits best. But then to end it, we have a special effect. I'm going to put the special effect in that strong and smooth. Yeah, we're going to put it in the strong and smooth category. It kind of dumps between like strong smooth and strong sharp. But Andrew, looking at what you got, you're speed dominant, so you want that top part of the lineup to be filled a little bit more. You did a good job on that. Nice job. You have a lot of big, strong A-Sims. You have a lot of big, strong Sims. I would recommend a couple more Pearl balls to round this out. You have 9 solid/dull hybrids in here, but you only have 4 Pearl or 4 shiny balls. So I'd recommend like something around that real time and Ethos, something a little bit stronger. No doubt. It looks like you're a Brunswick fan, so no doubt could be a good option. Hazmat Pearl is really good right now. I think one of those two will fit really well to pair with this Ethos in real time to have a much more well-rounded arsenal as a speed dominant bowler. But otherwise, the rest of it looks really good. Way to have your urethanes in check. Way to have a lot of your other stuff in check. So overall, nice job. Coming up next is Austin. Austin, otherwise known as Sportsbro79, is a rev-dominant bowler with 5 bowling balls. So let's put things into categories quick. And we want to talk about one of them that's on the list specifically for a minute. So we know Arctic Vibe is weak smooth. We know the Black Widow is strong sharp. We know the Summit Peak is medium sharp. And we know the Rockstar is medium and smooth. So we know all of those. Now this last one is a fun one. 900 Global. The funniest logo in bowling, in my opinion. So a little backstory. My cousin, when I first started bowling, was on staff with 900 Global, but that was when 900 Global was their own company. They were not mixed with Storm at all. So they were their own plant, and they had this thing, the space-time continuum. And it was the funniest ball in the world because when you read it, it's like, it's the space continuum time. So forever, we called it the space continuum time because the logo is so dumb, unfortunately. Like you read things left to right, up to down, up and down, but I don't know why they thought space-time it's supposed to be space-time continuum, and nope. Marketers had a day off that day. The marketing department had the day off. Either way, strong and sharp category. Definitely below the Black Widow. It's probably going to be a little weaker at this point because it's like 7 years old at this point, but one of the dumbest logos in bowling. But otherwise, Austin, looking at your list, you're rev dominant right now. I'd recommend a couple weaker bowling balls. You have a lot of strong stuff. Even that Arctic Vibe is on the strong end of weak smooth. You might want to go with like a Road Warrior, High Road 40, Anger. You could go with a Max Thrill Pearl. You could go with maybe a Typhoon if you want something super, super weak. Something to fill out these lower, medium to weak categories because those are going to be the bowling balls that roll just that little bit better for you, being a little bit more rev dominant. But otherwise, hope this helped. Coming up next is Billy. Billy is a rev-dominant player, so a lot of bowling balls in here, which is awesome. Let's start putting some things into categories that we've talked about in the past. We know the Pitch Black is that Thane. We know Attention Star is strong sharp. We talked about the Idle Pearl being medium sharp. Oh, we see the Goat Ball. Love to see that in everybody's arsenal in medium smooth. The rest, I don't think we've really touched on. So let's put some things into categories. Starting us off, we have the Electrify Solid. This ball was good, but then it got deemed too soft by USB-C, so it ended up getting banned. The Hyped Solid is pretty much the same ball. It is still legal in league competition, by the way. It's still legal, but just not at nationals. DNA Coil coming up next. DNA Coil is definitely stronger than an Attention Star, so we will put that over there. I see an Exponent Pearl. That's definitely in the weak and sharp category. That was a really good weak and sharp bowling ball. It did not sell well, unfortunately, but I'm very disappointed that we have nothing there from 900 Global right now. Coming up next is the Sublime. Sublime, I'm going to put, the Sublime and the Idle Pearl are nearly the same ball in a lot of ways. I'm going to put the Sublime right in front of the Idle Pearl, though, not by a whole lot. Exotic Gem, that is definitely the strongest strong and sharp ball that would be on this list by a landslide. That ball is almost in a strong smooth because it's such a big core and cover combo. Phase AI coming up next. That is after the Idle Pearl. And then the Supernova is going to come in the strong smooth slot. So Billy, looking at what you have, really, really well-rounded arsenal. Looks really good. A lot of new equipment to take a lot of these spots, which is great. So you know not a lot of things here are dying on you. So looks really good right now, honestly. Because you're rev dominant, you might need something new in those weaker categories once that Electrify or Exponent Pearl start dying out a little bit, so be wary of that. There's a lot of great options, though. Looks like you're a Storm fan, so you could go with things like a High Road 40 in that weak and sharp slot. You got all the hustles to choose from. A lot of really good options. But Billy, really nice job overall in their arsenal. Moving on next, we have Brando. Brando doesn't have any stats about themselves. That's A-okay. But let's look at some of the bowling balls that Brando has. I see a Black Widow 3.0, fits in the strong smooth. I see the Black Widow 2.0 hybrid in strong sharp. Purple Slammer in the urethane. Black Venom we've talked about in the medium smooth category. And then we'll leave it at that and start it off. Kicking it off, the ball before the Black Widow 3.0, the Black Widow 2.0, really creative in names from Hammer. That's going to go right below it. It's a little bit weaker, a little bit more angular is what I was finding with it. Same exact core, though, at the end of the day. OG Scorpion. OG Scorpion is a medium and sharp bowling ball. I can't remember. I think this one was a hybrid, if I remember right. It was also a mild ASIM at one point. Where the current Scorpion line or past recent Scorpion line was fully symmetrical and a weaker core. This one, I believe, was a little asymmetrical, but not 100% positive. Either way, medium sharp. Hammer effect. I always have the hammer effect before the Black Widow 2.0 hybrid because the Black Widow hybrid is a hybrid. It wants to hook a little earlier, but the effect has such a strong core and strong cover that it does want to pick up that little bit sooner. Ooh, Venom Shock Pearl. This was a bowling ball that existed. I had one. It didn't hook. I have it in the weak and sharp category. They used a different core than what was on the original Venom Shock, which made this not a Venom Shock Pearl. It made it much weaker and just very different ball shape. So that was an odd marketing tactic by Motive at the time. Finally, though, Lethal Venom, we're going to put that in front of the Black Venom. These two pair really well together, but that Lethal is definitely earlier than that Black Venom. So looking at what you have, 2 of the first 3 categories and 1 of the last couple, honestly, looks really good. My one recommendation is getting some kind of ball below the Black Venom that's smoother. So you could go Venom Shock. You could go something like a Max Thrill Solid or a Max Thrill Hybrid, I think would fit really well in here. Just something because the Black Venom is an asymmetrical ball and doesn't like playing from super deep all that well. You might want to have something that can play a little bit deeper on the lane, but still keep that smoother ball shape. Otherwise, the other option is the Scorpion's getting pretty old at this point. You might need to replace it. It looks like you like a lot of Motive stuff, especially the Venoms right now or the Black Widows. If you want to stick with a Venom, the Hyper Venom is a great option here. If you don't, you could go with like the old Scorpion Strike if you want something similar-ish to this original Scorpion. Again, $100 right now. Otherwise, what would be best there? Man, there really isn't much. Bubblegum Vibe will be too close to the Venom Shock Pearl. Really isn't a whole lot. Maybe an Anger, a Hammer Anger could fit really well in this slot as well. So a couple of other really good options for you just based on the bowling balls that you have. But otherwise, really hope this helped. Our next arsenal is from Brien or Brien. Apologies if I say your name incorrectly, but we have 4 bowling balls here. Let's see where all of them are going to fit. We have the Double Cross. That was Radical's attempt at urethane. When Mo originally said they will never make a urethane ball, it'll never happen. And then they said, all right, fine, we'll make a urethane ball. And this is what they ended up creating. Next up, Radical Big Bite. That's going to be a medium smooth ball. We see a Beyond Infinity is a strong and sharp ball. And then we have the Hazmat Solid coming in here. So I see the Hazmat Solid as a little bit earlier and smoother than that original Rattler Big Bite. So this is where everything's looking right now. So you have a lot of smoother equipment. I would recommend like a medium sharp ball. I think would be a good combo here. You could go, looks like you have a lot of Brunswick stuff. So you go something like a Hammer Anger, Ebonite GB5 could be really good for this arsenal. Otherwise, if you want to go even lower for a weaker ball, you could go like a Bubblegum Vibe would fit really well. I think those would all be great options for you just to be able to get out of this little, zone that you're in right now. Give you a different reaction, give you something a little bit weaker, a little bit more angular down lane. But otherwise, I really hope this helped. Coming up next is Camilo, otherwise known as Cam619, a balanced bowler. A couple of bowling balls here, so let's throw them into categories. We see the IQ78 going to be in urethane, Zen 25 going to be medium and sharp. We see a Hammer Axe on here. That's more of a plastic ball than anything. We're going to put it at the end of that weak and sharp list. Then we see the Scorpion Low Flare. We'll put that in weak smooth. And we see a Tension Star and strong sharp. Then let's just get the urethane out of the way. Purple Hammer hooks earlier and is just overall better than the IQ78. It's more round. It's more continuous. If you want to play straighter, the IQ is good. But if you don't want to play straighter, the Purple Hammer is here for you. But overall, looking at the list right now, Camilo, you have a pretty good lineup, honestly. A pretty well-rounded at the end of the day. Being a balanced bowler, I think a medium smooth ball would suit you really well. Phase 2, Game Breaker 5, Stealth Mode, Venom Shock could fit here, the new Primal Ghost, although that's insanely expensive. I think those are a couple of bowling balls that fit. That could be your middle of the bag option. Just having that solid bowling ball, it's going to be a little smoother for you, just overall really beneficial for what you have right now. But really hope this helped. Next one up is Carter, who's a one-handed junior bowler. And we have one really interesting ball. I believe Carter said that he's from Australia. So this first ball, RSTX3 Pro, is actually a little more accessible to get. It's an overseas bowling ball. We'll get into that one in just a minute. Let's put some things into categories though. First, we see a black hammer in the urethane slot. I see my baby, the Scorpion Low Flare in weak smooth, Rockstar in medium smooth, Black Widow Mania in strong and sharp. So we have 3 more bowling balls remaining. Let's wait with the RST and let's put the phase 3 into its medium and sharp category. Fantastic bowling ball. Just was very overlooked for a long time. Best colorway, best smell in bowlings, best scent. Duo is going to go after. That ball's not as hot. Not as good. P3 also isn't that great for a lot of people. It's just a sucker to me because I threw a 300 with it, so I love it. But Duo, not as good. Super, super smooth, but fairly clean pearl bowling ball. RSDX3 Pro, looking it up, it has an Extreme Tracks cover stock on it. I couldn't find if it was solid, hybrid, or pearl based on it being 2000 grit. I'm going to assume it's solid or a dull hybrid. And it's the RST core, which is a 253 RG, 053 diff, and I think an 016 intermediate diff. So a stronger asymmetrical core, a little higher RG, so it's probably in the middle of this strong smooth category. I would say it's a step down from the RST Hyperdrive is where it looks, but because you have nothing else in that slot, it fits very well. But looking at what you have, super well-rounded again. Nice job. My one concern would be the medium sharp category because the phase 3 is probably 4-ish years old at this point. The Duo is about 3 years old, so that category will have the oldest bowling balls. But overall, looking really good right now. If you need something weaker than your phase 3 or Duo, that weak sharp category is completely open. IQAI, Road Warrior, High Road 40. It looks like you do have a couple of Brunswick balls. They don't have as much in the weak and sharp category, unfortunately. Something like an Ivory Rhino, maybe. But I think Storm is currently winning in the weak and sharp category. So I would check that out if you want another ball. Otherwise, thanks for sending it in. And with that, we are officially moving over to our Google Forms list. Apologies for the delay, everybody. We had so many arsenals to go through, so we're kind of jump between our email arsenals and our Google arsenal. So we're on our Google Forms. Starting us off is Crispy, being the first one to put an arsenal in. One-handed, speed dominant. Couple bowling balls on here, so this one will be fairly quick. Absolute Power we like in the strong, well, I like that one in medium smooth. Eternity Pie I like in strong smooth. And OG Eternity I like in strong sharp. So overall, Looks pretty good for a 4-ball arsenal. You don't have any overlap. That's always a really good sign. As a one-handed speed dominant bowler, you might like one more Pearl ball in there, Equinox, Origin, Zen 25. A lot of those balls I think would fit really well with what you've got right now. Eternity into Absolute Power is pretty good. I don't know if you need that Tropical Surge that much. If you use your Tropical a lot, then I'd recommend another like weaker medium sharp ball, like a Road Warrior or something like that would fit really well. But if you don't use it that much, try to stick to the top half of the arsenal. Go with like a Zen or something like that. Otherwise, Crispy, hope this helps. Moving on, we have David, who's a newer bowler, rev dominant, mainly bowls on open play. So let's check out what David has right now. Very first bowling ball is a Pyramid Path Rising. For anyone who doesn't know what Pyramid is, it is more of a budget brand. Their bowling balls aren't really good at the end of the day. Like if you can, I recommend grabbing one of the main brands, but it is an option if you just want to spend a little less money. They're also very hard cover stocks, but weak and sharp is definitely where that ball is going to go. Moving on is the Track Cypher is going to be a weak and smooth bowling ball. Coming up is the Kinetic Emerald. The Track Kinetic Emerald was a hybrid bowling ball, lower RG, medium-ish differential. I'm going to put it into medium and sharp. It could kind of lean towards weak and sharp as well. It's going to be on the lower end of it. Tundra Blue Fire is a very weak bowling ball as someone who has one. We're going to put it on the very bottom of the list. We have the Track Precision Solid is going to be a medium and smooth bowling ball. Then we have the Melee Jab. I believe this one's the Carbon, if I'm not mistaken. That's definitely going to go below. Yeah, it's going to go above the Kinetic. It flares a bit more. It is an earlier ball. All the Melees want to hook a little earlier. They're kind of like Game Breaker Pearls to a certain degree. That's where that one's going to go. Then the last three are all going to be strong and smooth bowling balls. I'm going to go Paragon into Archetype into Prism, I think is going to be the play for those three. I think it goes in that order. Archetype and Paragon might be able to flipperoo a little bit, but overall, I think this is where it looks. So David, since you're a new bowler, I recommend not grabbing any new bowling balls. You have plenty, so it's best to try to boost up your own game before you try buying any more bowling balls, because this is quite a bit for someone who just started. So I'd recommend just laying low on buying bowling balls or getting new ones, and then just try to work on your game, try to get that average a little bit higher, and then we can start looking into other bowling balls. A couple on this list, like I said, are a little bit older. The top three have all been discontinued for quite a while now, so you might want to look at replacing one of those, but I wouldn't, since you have three of them. I mean, if one of them goes away, you have two that do similar things. Then the Kinetic Emerald is pretty old and the Precision is a little older. I would recommend getting a new medium smooth ball or a strong and sharp ball next later on once you start getting everything locked in a little bit. You have all Brunswick equipment, actually, all the brands of Brunswick. So strong sharp could be like a Vaporize or a Black Widow Mania might be a really good option. If you go medium and smooth, you go with a Game Breaker 5 because it's a little cheaper and it's going to do a lot of what that Precision Solid already does. But otherwise, welcome to bowling, and then hope this helps. Coming in next is Dwayne. Dwayne is a rev dominant righty, also wants to know what to start with. So first, let's put everything into categories, and then we'll figure out what we need to start with. So I see a Purple Slammer coming up front. That is going to go where we know the Purple Slammer fits best. Weak and smooth, we have an Arctic Vibe. We've got an NV Tour up in that strong and smooth. We've talked about the one reverb before being such a strong core, being in that strong and sharp camp. I see a phase 2. We'll put the goat where the goat belongs. High Road Pearl, we're going to put in the weak and sharp category. Do we have a medium sharp ball? We do not right now. All right, let's start it off on that left side. We have the Old Hammer Raw. That is definitely a weak and sharp bowling ball. I'm going to put a little bit of a gap here because we have the Old Tempo. I believe that was a track ball, if I'm not mistaken. That was a ball that came out right when Brunswick acquired Ebonite, where they made some weird bowling balls for the Ebonite brands in that first batch. Like, they were not good at all. But then they picked things up and now things are really good. It just took a little bit. This was one of those first balls that was not well liked. Black Widow 2.0 Hybrid, we're going to put that after the one reverb, but we have a lot of strong and sharp balls coming up. Next up, Criterion Hybrid. We're going to put that, honestly, we're going to put that before the one reverb. That Criterion Hybrid hooks earlier than you'd expect. But then we have a Theorem. Theorem's going to go the bottom of that strong and sharp camp. I think it fits below that Black Widow Hybrid. New Blue. New Blue, we're going to go after the Arctic Vibe, especially once it's at like 2000 grit. It's way later. Black hammer goes right after the purple hammer, hooks later, and is smoother overall. Game Breaker 5, I like to put the GB5 in front or behind the phase 2. They're so close together, you can kind of mix and match, but I like to put it afterwards. Fireball coming in next. We're going to put the Fireball. I think we're actually going to put that Fireball between the High Road and the Tempo, I think is where it's going to fit best. Harsh Reality Pearl, we are just going to grab everything, move it up, and put that Harsh Reality Pearl at the top of the list. That Harsh Reality Pearl is so early and strong. It goes in front of that Criterion Hybrid by a mile, but is also much smoother than that Criterion Hybrid. Then the IQ Tour Ruby, I'm going to put that at the front of the weak and sharp category. There we go. So, Dwayne, this is what we have for you. First of all, what bowling balls would fit best with this arsenal next? I think there's a big gap between your Theorem and your Black Widow, and then your IQ Tour and High Road. So I think a couple medium sharp bowling balls would fit. Ebonite Game Breaker 5 Pearl, if you like your GB5 a lot, grab the Pearl version. It's super, super cheap. Use the link in the description, by the way, but it's super, super cheap, and that might be a good option for you. Some other less cheap options could be the 900 Global Ember fits really well there. Primal Rage from Motive is pretty good there. I think those could all fit in that medium sharp camp. But then with that, you'd have a very well-rounded lineup. You have a lot of weak bowling balls. You could probably get rid of a couple of these. I don't know if you need a Fireball, a Tempo, and a Raw all in the same bag. You probably only need one of those three. Same with the Strong and Sharp. You probably don't need the Criterion, the One, and the Black Widow Hybrid all in the same bag. I think they're all a little too close together. Well, what should you start with as a rev-dominant righty? You are probably going to like starting with that phase 2. I think phase 2 or Game Breaker 5, that's going to be like a good starting spot for you, because if those balls are not hooking enough, they're hooking too late or just not hooking, you go up to the NV Tour. That's going to be that step up for you. That's going to be a good combo. But if these are hooking too much, you go down to your Arctic Vibe. See what that's doing for you. If that's not hooking enough, then you need something in between. That's where that medium sharp ball would fit. But otherwise, you could also go up to that Track Theorem. That's going to hook in between the Arctic and the phase 2, but it's still not going to be too angular down lane. Same with the Black Widow, same with the One. Then you go up to that strong sharp camp. If the Arctic is still hooking too much, you go down into your weak and sharp camp. You go into your plethora of weak and sharp bowling balls and see really which one fits best. Now, if you're on a sport shot, I recommend trashing a lot of that with putting a new step 1, and that's going to be a purple hammer. Start with the purple, see where that looks for you, and then go into the phase 2 in the Game Breaker 5, and then play the same game. So really hope this helped you, Dwayne. Coming up next is Edwin, who is a rev-dominant bowler. We have some interesting bowling balls on this list. A lot of motive, and then one that doesn't really fit in with the others, but let's get into it. Let's go to the ones that we already know what categories they fit in based on previous episodes. Sub-Zero Forge, Strong Smooth. Black Widow 2.0 Hybrid is going to be Strong Sharp. Venom Shock, we're going to go in the Medium Smooth category. Then the Primal Rage Evolution, we're going to go in Medium Sharp. Max Thrill Solid is Weak and Smooth. And then we don't have anything in that Weak and Sharp as of right now. We will have one, which is going to be interesting. But Tank Yellow Jacket is also a urethane-like bowling ball. Loves playing straighter, does not like a lot of angle. Let's start with the Raptor Rush. Raptor Rush is definitely going to be the stronger of the two. Strong, sharp bowling ball is going to go Raptor Rush into the Black Widow 2.0 Hybrid. Very different ball shapes, though, at the end of the day, so that's a good combo. Black Venom coming up next. I always had the Black Venom in front of the Venom Shock, not by a crazy amount, but it is a little bit stronger, it seems like, and people use it in a situation where it's a little earlier in the day, even though that Black Venom comes polished, which is odd. I always thought it came dull, but it comes polished. Then finally, Hyper Venom, which fits below the Primal Rage Evolution by about a step, so a really good combo there. Up to this point, everything looks awesome. Great motive lineup, looks really good. But then we have this. It is the Elite Easy Hook bowling ball. I didn't know what this was until about 3-ish minutes ago. So this is a brand that I didn't know existed that makes bowling balls. This is a entry-level ball, like a $60 to $80 bowling ball that does actually have a core in it. High RG, low differential. It has the same RG as a High Road, the differential like an IQ Tour. Kind of interesting. Very cheap for a ball with those core numbers. I don't know what the cover stock is. You know, you can't really put numbers on a cover stock, unfortunately. Either way, weak and sharp category by a landslide, maybe in the weak and smooth category. I'd be interested to see what you think of this bowling ball, if it's good or not. Because I've never seen it before. Hopefully it's good, but I have no idea. But looking at it overall, Edwin, you have a fantastic lineup, really good motive arsenal right now. Just a very well-rounded piece here overall. Really the biggest holes I see, there really isn't a hole right now that I'm seeing. Maybe in this weak and sharp, if this elite ball isn't good, you might need like a Max Thrill Pearl to fit on there, especially being rev dominant. Having something below the hypervenom like that might not be a bad idea. Otherwise, like you have a Supra Clutch could be pretty okay in that slot. It's a little too close to the hypervenom in my opinion. One of the most forgotten bowling balls on the market right now is that Supra. But otherwise, I mean, it's really well-rounded. I think now it's going to depend on what you see. Do you like your medium smooth balls better? Well, then you might want to look at a Primal Ghost. Medium sharp, if you like those better, you really don't have any other options there, unfortunately. These are like the main two. Maybe a Pride Liberty that's polished. Weak and smooth, you could go like a Max Thrill Hybrid. You need another one of those. So a lot of different options for you, Edwin. Otherwise, thank you for sending your arsenal. Next one up is Grant, who's a two-handed rev dominant bowler. 7 bowling balls to look through on this one. Let's kick it off. We know the IQ AI is medium sharp. We know the Game Breaker 5 is in that medium smooth. I need to make these bowling balls a smaller font. That's my bad. Ion Max, we fit in the strong smooth. We love our origin in the strong and sharp category, and we have 3 bowling balls left. So let's stick these things where they need to go. Primal Rage definitely hooks earlier and is actually sharper than the IQ2 or IQ AI, I should say. So I think that's a pretty good combo there. I see the Purple Reactive. That's going to be a weak and smooth ball. That people loved that thing. We have so many of those on this list, and it hasn't been made for a couple years now. So I'm a little surprised by that. Really cool to see. Venom EJ coming in last. I have that Venom EJ before that Game Breaker 5. I think that's really the best spot for it. But overall, Grant, this is looking really good, actually. I think a lot of really good 1-2 combos. Ion Max into Origin is one of my favorite in the game right now. You have GB5 into the Purple Reactive, looks really good. Origin, then into Primal Rage. There's a little bit of a bump of like strength levels there. You could fit like a Zen 25 or a Evoke Hysteria or an Attention Star in that slot between the Origin and the Primal Rage. But otherwise, I think that looks pretty good. If you are rev dominant, you might need another weak ball, maybe a more angular weak ball, like a Typhoon could be really good, or a Hustle M&M could fit as well. So otherwise, I like the well-roundedness of what you got right now. Add 1 or 2 things, you could be good to go for a while. Coming up is good friend of the channel who hangs out on our Discord and brags about the amount of bowling balls he has. Complete joke, by the way. He just has a lot of bowling balls, which is awesome. Is the Bowling JerBear. Bowling JerBear is a speed dominant righty. And there are some really cool bowling balls on this list. Some of these are probably going to make the thumbnail, but let's start putting some things into categories quick. We know the Rockstar is medium smooth. We know the Origin is strong and sharp. We know the Optimum Idol Pearl is medium sharp. The Ion Max is strong smooth. We've talked about the Ion Pro being weak smooth. Do we have a weak and sharp ball? Yes, Typhoon is going to fit in the weak and sharp category, and that is pretty much everything. All the categories covered, no urethane, which is a-okay. So let's start digging into all of these. Kicking us off is the Zen 25. Zen 25 always fits very well with that Idol Pearl. They pretty much can go side by side. You can flip-flop them as much as you want. They're pretty close. IQ AI definitely goes after both of them, though. That definitely goes after both. Original High Road, we're going to put that in the weak and sharp, but it's going to go before the Typhoon. The level, whatever this ball is, we're going to fit in the weak and smooth category. No one knows what this ball is supposed to do. It's probably going to get discontinued soon. Just keep that in the back of your mind. It's also a lot cheaper right now. Speaking of cheaper bowling balls, we have the Ultimate Wrecker. I always had the Ultimate Wrecker as earlier than the High Road. It's a little earlier and chuggier than you thought. When I say chuggier, I mean slower down lane. Hooks earlier, a little bit slower than what you would expect. Optimum Idol Solid, we go above the Rockstar. I will be able to test this theory out in just a couple days if these two pair well together or not. The Storm Identity is going to fit in the strong and sharp slot, but we do have the Equinox up next. I'm going to put the Equinox right in front of the Identity in that way. I think it's going to go Equinox into Identity as the best one. We're going to save these two beauties for a little later. Then we have the RST Hyperdrive. We're going to fit that in strong and smooth. Origin EX. I would like to put that in the medium smooth. I'm gonna fit that in front of the idol, I think. I think it's gonna fit there. The EX has such a weak cover to it, but such a strong core that I think it outbeats the idol in that regard. Attention Star S2, we will fit at the top of our strong and smooth list. And finally, we have 2 bowling balls remaining. This is literally as symmetrical as you can get in terms of a list. So far, JerBear, you're knocking it out of the park. Really nice job. This arsenal is very, very well made. And I know you have a couple more bowling balls to add to this, so apologies for that. This was about 2 months ago that you posted this. But next, we have the Bite Panic. I'm going to make the picture a little bit bigger for this guy. And then we also have the Attention Power. These are both overseas bowling balls. Let's start with this Bite Panic and not grab that black line. So the Bite Panic I looked up, it is the strongest core I've ever seen. It has a 246 RG, 059 differential, 029 intermediate differential. There is not a stronger core on the market in the bowling world other than this Bite Panic. So this is the strongest of the strong. It has an Exo Pearl cover. That is the same cover that we saw on the DNA coil. So either way, I'm going to put it at the top of the strong and sharp list. I don't think it belongs anywhere else. That core is so massive that it probably flares around the ball the second it touches the lane. Then is the Attention Power. The Attention Power is an Attention Star, but just solid. It's micro tracks on it. Same exact core as that Attention Star. So I'm actually going to put it above the RST Hyperdrive because the Hyperdrive has a higher RG, probably wants to hook a little bit later. So this is where I have it at right now for you, JerBear. Overall, like these are all brand new and I don't really have any suggestions for you. This all looks awesome. I'll take both overseas balls if you don't want them. Thank you so much for putting in your arsenal. Our next arsenal is Manny, who is balanced, and Manny has 6 bowling balls that we'll be looking into. IQ Tour, we know in weak and smooth. We know Idol is medium smooth. We know Ion Max is strong smooth. That's a really good 1, 2, 3 combo at the end of the day. Ion Max, Idol, and IQ. I love that. But we see an OG Zen is going to fit in medium sharp. We talked about the Hype Pearl a little while ago. That's going to be weak and sharp. Medium sharp, I don't know, remember what I said for the Zen. Medium sharp for the Zen, weak and sharp for the Hyped. And then we have a reality check. That fits in the strong and smooth. It's going to go below the Ion Max. If you polish it, it could be in strong and sharp. It's just not the most angular ball in the world. Overall, pretty much as well-rounded as you can get, right? Like you're missing one strong and sharp ball. Like I said, that reality check could fall into that slot. Otherwise, just one more ball there. Attention Star, Equinox. It looks like you like Storm stuff, so one of those two is going to fit really well. Identity, because it's available everywhere. I think those are some really good options there. You do have a couple older balls in here. I know the Zens end up dying a little bit quickly, especially the OG one, so this one might be on its last leg soon. The Zen 25, though, is a perfect replacement for it. Same exact ball almost at the end of the day, just different colorway, basically, little bit different cover and core mechanics. But overall, Manny, it looks great so far. Fill up that strong sharp slot. Be ready for one of these balls to puke out on you, and then you should be good to go. We are on to Mats. Mats is a Swedish bowler who's also balanced. So from what I remember in Sweden, there's a lot less oil on the lane and a lot of house shots. So that's something we should be aware of as we're making this arsenal. But let's check out where some things fit. I see the IQ AI, which I really should buy an IQ AI now that I think about it. Medium sharp category. DNA, strong and smooth. We're going to fit it up there. While I hate that ball, it is a good strong. It does fit in that strong and smooth camp. RSTX2, I always put that in the medium sharp. It is such a weak core or cover to it. It's pretty much like the Gremlin in every way. The Gremlin is just a reincarnation of that ball, or like the Rubicon UC2. IQ Tour coming in, medium or weak and smooth category. I see the Tundra Blue Fire. That is a very weak and sharp bowling ball. The good old orange ball, the Idol Helios coming in the medium and smooth slot. I finally got rid of mine, by the way. That ball was good for one day for me, and that was it. And then the Night Road. Night Road, I'm going to put after the IQ AI. I think they're kind of close together, close-ish together. But overall, Mats, this is what we have for you. Knowing that there's a lot less oil, it makes sense that you have so many medium and sharp bowling balls. I would probably recommend one more smoother bowling ball, one more solid of some way. I think DNA into Helios into IQ Tour isn't too bad right now, but you could get something in between there. It looks like you have a lot of Storm right now, So you could go with like an Ion Pro, might not be bad. Ion Pro Solid, while it will be very expensive, would fit pretty well here. If you want something a little stronger, but also more angular than that DNA, you could go like an Attention Star or an Equinox, I think would fit in this strong and sharp camp as well. But otherwise, really hope this helped. Coming up next is Matt, who is a one-handed lefty with a lot of bowling balls from Storm Bowling. So let's start putting some things into categories. Idle Pearl, we know medium sharp. Ion Pro, we know is weak smooth. We see a good old urethane down there. We see an Ion Max, which we're going to put up here. Attention Star in that strong sharp category. Do we have a medium smooth ball? We do with that Idle. Awesome. Do we have a weak and sharp ball? I don't think we do. So let's start putting some things into categories. Starting off, the OG Nova. The Nova I always have in strong smooth. Even though it's a hybrid, it is so slow and clunky that it should really stay in that strong smooth category. But then we have the proton physics. Proton physics. The Ion Max is kind of like the reincarnation of the proton physics in a lot of ways. So that's really the 1, 2, 3 there. Reality check coming in next. Ugh. I'm going to put the reality check in the strong smooth. It's right on that edge. That ball was kind of weird. It wasn't really well liked, which was odd. I don't know why, because the reality was so good and altered was so good. But it was a little smoother, I think, than what people expected. So we'll put it there. Idle Cosmos coming up next. That was weaker than the Optimum Idle Pearl. It was also smoother, which was interesting. IQ 78, we fit that in the urethane after the pitch black, the worst version of the pitch black in some ways. Rubicon UC3. Oh man, I'm going to put that above the reality check, but below the Nova. The UC3 was so strong because of that cover stock. The core wasn't that strong. The cover stock was insanely strong. Coming up next, Origin, we are going to put in front of the Attention Star. Amazing 1-2 combo, one of my personal favorites in the game right now. Ooh, RST Hyperdrive. We are going to put that between the proton physics and the Nova. There's kind of a little bit of overlap there, but as a lefty, it makes sense to have a lot of balls in the strong and smooth camp. Speaking of the strong and smooth camp, we have the XL and the Physics Blackout. XL is definitely going to be the bottom of the list. Physics Blackout, we are going to put... I think we're actually going to put it above the reality check. I think we're going to put it kind of like that. Road Warrior coming in next. That's a medium sharp ball right now for me. And then High Road Pearl we will have as weak and sharp. So overall, Matt, as a lefty, this looks pretty normal, honestly. Like, it's pretty normal to have a lot of strong and smooth bowling balls. Your side of the lane doesn't break down much, especially if you're a little more speed dominant. This makes perfect sense at the end of the day. My one rec would be some more medium smooth balls. There's a bit of a gap between your XL Idle and then down to an Ion Pro. You probably need one more in that camp. Something maybe a little bit weaker, like, man, I don't know what would really fit there right now. Rockstar might be a little too strong. Ion Pro you already have. Maybe not. Storm doesn't really have much in that, like, weaker, medium, smooth, solid camp right now, which is sad. That's where, like, a Summit Ascent would be perfect for this. I think a Summit Ascent would fit there well. But I think keep track of this medium smooth category. If you need something a little weaker, remember the IQ Tour is one of the best lefty balls of all time. There is a lot of overlap in this strong smooth, but I'm guessing you're okay with it because you kept buying a lot of them in that slot. If you want to get rid of any, I'd say the reality check is probably the worst of the bunch. Otherwise, the Nova is getting a little bit old as well. You could replace those for like medium smooth bowling balls. But otherwise, Matt looks really good for a lefty. A lot of strong and smooth balls. But otherwise, hope this helps. Next up, we are on to Nick. Nick is a one-handed rev-dominant righty. There is one bowling ball on this list that is absolutely bonkers. We're going to get to that one in just a second. But let's put some things into categories where we know they exist. We know the Purple Slammer is a urethane. We know the IQ Ruby is a weak and sharp. The Black Widow is strong sharp. Honestly, low-key, the IQ Ruby shows up more than almost any ball on these Arsenal guides. I'm going to go back once a lot of these are said and done and try to get numbers on what bowling ball is most popular among you guys. I think this IQ Ruby is going to be pretty close. Black Widow is going to be up there as well. But anyways, GB4 Hybrid, medium and sharp. We have, an altered reality. I like that. We're going to put Summit Ascent in the medium and smooth. We have, that is an Exponent Pearl. We're going to leave that for a minute. Is that the Pearl? No, I think that's a solid. That's a solid one. Weak smooth. We're going to put that there. Otherwise I see an attention star, and that's pretty much everything. So let's get it going. Altered reality coming up first. That is going to be the strongest of the strong and sharp balls. That is basically what the origin is today. That old altered reality. It got banned from USB-C competition because it's too soft. It's still good in your leagues and everything. You just can't bring it to nationals. Hyperdrive coming in. That's going to go in front of the Widow, in my opinion. Then Rubicon UC3 is a weird one. I always put this in the strong and smooth category. It was supposed to be urethane, like a tuerthane reaction, but no, it doesn't fit in that slot. I think it goes in strong smooth. It acts like a big strong ASIM. It's a wonky one. This is the weird one. We're going to blow this one up a little bit. It is the Lane Masters Kong. I can't believe this thing didn't get copyrighted into existence, but it is a high RG medium differential Lane Masters ball from like 20 years ago. We're putting it into weak and smooth. It's going to be the lowest of the weak and smooth categories. So we're actually going to move it one more. But the Kong, I had to look this one up a little bit because there was no way this ball was legit, but it's a real ball, which is wild to me. But coming in next, we have the Zen 25 IQ Tour, which I always had after the Exponent. Dark Web. This is an interesting one. That is a medium smooth ball, and it's probably one of the worst hammer balls that's been made of the last 5 years or so. This thing just wasn't great. I love the Web series. I've loved all the Webs except for these Dark Webs have been not good. Kind of sucky. And then we have a mix, but we're going to delete that guy because that is a spare ball. But looking at the list for Nick, honestly, super, super well-rounded. I mean, the Kong ball is funny, but otherwise, you have pretty much 2 in every category. If you're going to look towards what's next, I mean, looking at what's old and what's new, the Altered Reality is a little old at this point. The Dark Web's a little old at this point. The rest is fairly new-ish, so I don't think any balls are going to be going away on you. Looks really good. I'd recommend using this. Try to figure out what category you like best as a bowler, and then try to build that category up. If you like your strong sharp balls, if you like your altered and your attention star a lot, maybe look towards like an Equinox or a Black Widow Mania or an Evoke Hysteria or something like that. But really nice job on the arsenal. Thank you so much for sending it in. Our next arsenal is coming from Owen. Owen is a two-handed youth bowler with about 6 bowling balls. So let's look where all of these are going to fit. Let's put some bowling balls into categories where we know they already exist. You know, we got the IQ 78. We've got the Zen 25 in the medium sharp category. We love the Equinox up in the strong and sharp category. And I think we'll leave the rest. Let's start with the Archetype Hybrid. Archetype Hybrid was an interesting one. It was pretty early, but a little more angular than you'd expect. So I'm going to put that in the strong and sharp category. Then we have the OG Mastermind. The Brunswick Mastermind is fairly old at this point. It's I think it came out when I started getting into bowling. So I'm guessing it's very old for Owen. But that's going to go in the strong and smooth category. Those balls were really, really slow. And then Attention Star S2. I always like putting that in the strong and smooth category and on the very, very end of it. Even though it is hybrid, it is very, very smooth compared to the original Attention Star. So, Owen, looking at your arsenal right now, you got a ton of big ASIMs right now. I would recommend picking up some weaker bowling balls next, you know, some Vibes or maybe IQs or Thrills from Motive, just a few things in those weaker categories because all your stuff is very, very strong. And as a two-hander who's a youth bowler, you're probably pretty rev dominant, so you want to get some weaker bowling balls. I think that's really going to help you be able to get that ball to get a little further down lane, go through the pins a little bit better. But Owen, I really hope this helped. Moving on to a shorter arsenal, this time it's from Ricky, who is a lefty balanced player who wants to focus on sport patterns. Well, looking at it, you have a really good lefty arsenal already. We have an Envy Tour kicking off in the strong and smooth, GB5 to fit right below it. That's a good 1-2 combo. Scorpion Strike, one of my favorite sim pearls, which is also $100 right now if you look online, so make sure to check that out. Really good ball. And then a Black Hammer in the purple, or in the urethane slot. I was saying purple, my bad. But looking at it, a lot of really smooth bowling balls, perfect for a lefty. You want stronger bowling balls that are smoother as a lefty. That's just the best way to go at it because there's less traffic. You usually are playing a little bit straighter. That's where these bowling balls will excel. Now, looking at it though, you do only have 1 pearl out of your other ones. So you might need a stronger pearl to fit above the Scorpion Strike, something that's going to hook earlier, but not be too early and still have a little bit of angle down lane, get those pesky 7 pins out for you. So looking at it, it's tough to find a smooth pearl ball from Brunswick right now. They have a lot of really sharp pearl bowling balls, but not many that are that smooth. So thinking about it a little bit, I mean, Black Widow Mania, if you drill it like pinned down, might not be too bad. Hammer Effect, if you drill it pinned down, might not be the worst choice in the world. Something around that range is going to be best for you, just to have another ball with a little bit of kick down lane, because the Envy and the Game Breaker can get really, really smooth. The other big one, if you're on sport patterns, it's good to have a black hammer, but if that's not hooking early enough for you and being able to carry through the pins, you might want to look at getting a purple hammer. That's going to be just a lot better because it's softer. So if the black hammer isn't really doing it for you, you just feel like you can't throw it that often, I'd recommend trying a purple out that might be a little bit better for you. We are moving on next to Srephyx. Srephyx is a rev-dominant two-handed bowler. Kind of interesting lineup, so let's start kicking it off. I see a Kaboom in here. That's going to go on the lower end of the medium and sharp category. I'd put it on the very end if I could, but we'll see what else falls in that slot. Trying to put some other things into categories. I forgot to do that. Harsh Reality, we know, is a strong smooth ball. We've talked about the Vibo plenty and strong sharp. We've talked about the Ion Pro plenty and weak and smooth. I see a Black Widow pink urethane. It should have been called the Pink Widow. Such a better name, man. Come on, Hammer. But otherwise, we have nothing else that we've really talked about much. So let's go to the next one, the Snap Lock. The Snap Lock was a Pearl Storm Ball, really big lock core in it. But it is a little bit older now, so I think it's going to hook later than a Vibo, later and even smoother than a Vibo. Something to keep track of because the Lock series is 5 to 8 years old at this point. That was really getting big when I first got into bowling. It was when the Lock and the Snap Lock were kind of blowing up a little bit more. Hustle X-Ray, that's going to go in the weak and smooth category. The Hustle Rip is also going to go there, but a little bit after the Hustle X-Ray. Ooh, but then we have the Purple Hammer Reactive. Purple Hammer Reactive, I'm going to put above the Hustles. It technically has a weaker core, but a stronger cover stock to it. So I'm going to put it right in front of all the Hustles. I see the Primal Rage, one of the old Primals. Well, it's old enough now and it's old motive. I'm going to put that in the medium smooth category, but it's going to be on the lower end of it. Then it looks like we have 2 entry-level balls remaining, a Raw and a Scout. We're going to put, well, I'm going to put the Scout in the weak and smooth category because the Scouts were like the bottom of the bottom. They were like the Rhinos, basically, for older Ebonite before they got bought out by Brunswick. And then the Raw series, as we know, is the lowest end bowling ball you can buy from Hammer Bowling right now. So looking at the list, well-rounded for most categories. That weak and smooth list just has a lot of bowling balls, which is fair. You're rev dominant. And a couple of these could fit into that weak and sharp category as well. If you have polish on your Hustle Rip yet, it could fall down to weak and sharp. If you put polish on like the Purple Reactive, it could fall into that category. But either way, you have a lot of weaker bowling balls, which is great. However, looking at your medium category, you have this old Primal Rage, and then you have the C300 Kaboom, which is getting a little bit old at this point, and overall wasn't the greatest ball ever. I think it got discontinued in like 6 months. It was crazy timing. So you might need another medium level bowling ball in here. A lot of great options that are cheaper right now. Scorpion Strike is $100 right now. GB5 Pearl is 120. There's a couple medium smoother bowling balls that are going to be pretty good that are on sale right now. GB4, Stealth Mode, couple good balls that can fit right above all of these weak ones. But if you don't need those and you need even weaker bowling balls, then forget what I said. Then I think you can just kind of focus on this bottom list and then be good to go. But really hope this helped. Let's go to Timothy for an arsenal today. Timothy is a two-handed balanced bowler, a whole ton of Brunswick, not Brunswick. I don't think there's a Brunswick ball on the list, a Storm bowling list. So let's kick it off, put some things into categories where we know they exist. Hyperdrive, strong, smooth. Rockstar, medium, smooth. Idle Pearl, medium sharp. We know the Ion Pro is a weak smooth. We know an Equinox is a strong sharp. Do we have anything else? IQ Ruby is a weak and sharp, and there's no Thane being thrown. All right, let's put some things into categories now. Starting off, XL. That is on the lowest end of the strong smooth list. We're going to put that on the very bottom. We're going to have probably some things that fit in between here, just looking at the amount of bowling balls here. IQAI is kind of similar in the medium sharp category, kind of jumps between medium sharp and weak and sharp. It just kind of depends on what all is in the lineup at the time and the direction bowling balls are going. When bowling balls are getting stronger, when there's more bowling balls with lower RGs and just stronger, that's when this ball ends up falling down to that weak and sharp category. When bowling balls are weaker, kind of jumps to the medium sharp. But DNA coil coming up next. I always have the DNA coil and the Equinox in fairly similar spots. I am going to put the coil up front. The Equinox just has that weaker cover stock to it, slightly stronger core, but kind of close. Attention star, that is always on the very bottom of the strong and sharp list. Zen 25. Zen 25 we're going to put right after the Idle Pearl. They are very, very close at the end of the day, but I think we're going to put the Zen just very slightly after the pink ball. Summit Peak coming up next. We are actually going to put that in front of both the Idol and the Zen. These three are all very close together at the end of the day. I see them as very, very similar bowling balls. Journey coming in next. That's going to go well below the Zen 25. It's going to kind of fit in the middle of that medium and sharp category. Great ball. Very much underrated. Physics Blackout. Man, this one's always hard. It comes out of the box at 2,000. That's what Storm wants it at, which makes it a strong and smooth ball in front of the XL. But if you put polish on it, it definitely falls in strong sharp. Speaking of strong sharp, we have the Vibo. We're going to put the Vibo after the Equinox and the DNA coil. However, we're going to move all of them back because we have the Origin coming in. Origin is usually one of the strongest strong and sharp bowling balls. It is still a little bit clean, even though it seems like it wants to hook so early. Amazing bowling ball, though. 10 out of 10. Ooh, this is a weird one. The old clone. I'm going to put the clone after the Vibo. The clone was weird. It was supposed to be a remake of the UFO Alert, and it wasn't. Not even close. That thing got discontinued so quickly. People did not like it. Coming in with the Road Warrior. I'm putting the Road Warrior right above the IQ AI. Not by a whole lot, but it does fit. And I did miss a urethane. We had the red ball. The red urethane, the IQ 78 was on this list. All right, 5 more left. Phase AI coming in next. I have the Phase AI actually in front of the Journey. I had both of these at the same time, and that's how they fit together. That Phase AI is clean, but super quick, but not clean enough to be after the Journey. Kind of weird, I know, but they're fairly close together. Hyped Pearl, that is definitely a weak and sharp bowling ball. Really good ball. Again, very underrated. Pure Envy fits squarely into the strong smooth slot. Phase 2, I'm going to put in front of the Rockstar in terms of strength. Ion Max, I'm going to put at the top of this list in the strong and smooth. If we move everything over to where it should be, this is what we have. We have a whole lot of pearl balls from Timothy, which is A-okay. Two-hander, so makes sense. But I think looking in next, you might want some weak and smooth or medium and smooth bowling balls. Being a two-hander, the more you progress, the more you're going to become rev dominant because your revs will be increasing, your speed will increase, but not as quickly as a two-hander. Usually, most really, really good two-handers will get to that rev dominant status. So that's where a couple weaker bowling balls are going to come into play. I think your shinies are okay. Going from Road Warrior, IQ, and Hyped, I think you're fine. It's that medium smooth that's a little bit tough. There's a big gap between your XL and your Physics, and then your Phase and Rockstar, and then you have a big gap to that Ion, but then after the Ion, there's nothing. That Ion wants to hook a little earlier at times, so you might need something below it, like a Hustle Earth might be really good. If you want to spend a little more money, an IQ could fit here, but I think that Hustle might be a little bit better because you are about 99.9% Storm right now. If you want to go somewhere else, Turbo X would fit in here as well as a pretty good ball. But Timothy, I really hope this helps. Just focus on those solid balls next, and you should be good to go.